can't believe this is happening, I whispered to myself, standing at the altar. My palms sweating inside stiff white gloves. Relax, Ethan. Adam chuckled beside me, giving me a pat on the back. She's worth the wait. She always is, I said with a smile, though my chest thudded with nerves. The music began, violins filling the church. Everyone rose, turning toward the door. My breath caught. I expected to see Lila in her dress, walking toward me. But the aisle stayed empty. Seconds dragged into minutes. I turned to Adam. Where is she? He shrugged, too casually. Maybe fixing her makeup? The guests started whispering. My mother leaned forward from the front row. Ethan, is something wrong? I don't know, I stammered. I tugged at my collar, heat rushing through me. The priest cleared his throat. Perhaps we should wait a moment. I nodded, forcing a smile. She'll come. She has to. Another 5 minutes. My best man avoided my eyes. My stomach twisted. Finally, I bolted down the side aisle, nearly knocking over a chair. I pushed open the dressing room door. Empty. Only the faint scent of perfume lingered. My hands shook as I grabbed my phone. I dialed Leela. No answer. I tried again, pacing in frantic circles. Voicemail. The door creaked open. Claire stood there, clutching her bouquet. Her face was pale. Ethan, you need to know. My chest tightened. Where is she? Her eyes shimmered with tears. She left. What do you mean she left? My voice cracked. She ran away. With Adam, the words hit like a hammer to my skull. I stumbled back, gripping the table to stay upright. No, that's impossible. Adam was standing with me, she told him last night. Claire whispered, voice trembling. They planned it. This morning, they slipped out together. They're gone. I shook my head violently. You're lying. Adam is my brother in all but blood. He wouldn't, Ethan. Her voice broke. I wish I was lying. From the hall, the buzz of whispers grew louder, 100 voices rising in confusion. My uncle's voice carried in. The bride's missing? My knees buckled, and I collapsed into the chair. My vision blurred as the church bells outside rang mockingly. I slammed my fist against the table. He was my best man. She was my fiancée. How could they? Claire stepped forward. I saw them drive away. Silence crashed between us. My pulse hammered in my ears. I forced myself to stand, my legs trembling, and stumbled back into the church. All eyes turned to me. Guests leaned toward each other, murmuring. My mother's face was pale, my father's jaw tight with shame. The priest approached quietly. Son, do you want to postpone? I forced out a laugh, hollow and bitter. Postpone? The bride ran away with the best man. What's left to postpone? Gasps rippled across the pews. Someone whispered, she left him at the altar. I gripped the podium for balance. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. There will be no wedding today. My voice cracked, but I forced myself to continue. The bride and best man had other plans. A wave of shocked murmurs filled the air. A few guests stood to leave. My aunt covered her mouth with her hands, whispering, poor boy, staggered down the steps, tearing at the tie around my neck. Claire met me halfway down the aisle, her face stricken with pity. Don't look at me like that, I muttered, my throat raw. She swallowed hard. I wasn't. I'm sorry. I let out a broken laugh. You think sorry fixes being abandoned in front of everyone I know? No, she whispered, but you're not alone. Her words stopped me. For a moment I stared at her, the younger sister of the woman who just destroyed me. Her eyes held something different. Not pity, exactly, but a quiet strength I couldn't name. My chest rose and fell, heavy, uneven. Tell me, Claire, did you know? Did you know she was planning this? She shook her head furiously. If I had, I would have stopped her. I swear it. I searched her face. The honesty there was sharp, almost painful. I whispered then, why do I feel like the whole world knew except me? Tears welled in her eyes. Because you loved her more than she deserved. Her words sank into me like a blade. My throat closed and I turned away, staggering toward the church doors. My father tried to reach for me, but I pulled back. Don't. Just don't. The sunlight outside was blinding. I stumbled down the steps. Every cheer from the wedding crowd turned into cruel laughter in my head. I wanted to scream, to run, to vanish, but when I looked back one last time, it wasn't the empty altar or the whispering guests that held my gaze. It was Claire standing there in her bridesmaid dress, her bouquet clutched tightly, watching me with eyes full of something I didn't understand. Shock, pity, and maybe, just maybe, something more. Asterisk, the church emptied like a funeral. Chairs scraped, shoes shuffled, whispers lingered. I heard fragments. Poor man. Disgrace ran with his best friend. Every word cut. Ethan, let's go home, my mother whispered, her hand trembling on my arm. Home? I laughed bitterly. Do I even have one anymore? My father cleared his throat. You'll endure. That's what we do. Endure. I snapped. I was left at the altar. Dad. By my bride and my best man. Endure doesn't even scratch it. Their silence told me they had no answers. I shoved past, climbed into the car, and rode in silence, staring at nothing. Back in my room, I locked the door. My phone buzzed nonstop. Friends, coworkers, people who just wanted gossip. I hurled it at the wall. They all know. They all know. I collapsed onto the bed, clutching the sheets like they could hold me together. My mind spun. Adam's grin flashed in my memory. Lila's promises replayed like a cruel joke. Ethan, I whispered to myself, you gave them everything. Years of loyalty, years of love, and they spat on it. A knock startled me. Go away, I muttered, but the door creaked. A soft voice said, I brought you something. Claire stepped in, holding a tray bread soup, water. Her hands shook. I sat up, wiping my face quickly. Why are you here? You didn't eat? Why should you care? My tone was sharp, harsher than I intended. Her eyes flickered with hurt. Because you look like you'll collapse. I stared at her. You're her sister. Don't you hate me for what happened? Hate you? She said quietly. You're the one she betrayed. Not me. I swallowed hard. Do you know how it feels to be humiliated in front of everyone you love? To lose a brother and a bride in the same breath? No, she admitted. But I saw your face at the altar, and I wished I could take the pain for you. Her words broke something in me. I buried my face in my hands. God, I was such a fool. I should have seen it. The late texts, the excuses, the way Adam always lingered. I trusted him more than anyone. And Lila. I thought she was my future. Claire set the tray down, then sat on the edge of the bed. You weren't a fool. You were in love. Love blinds people. It's not weakness. I looked at her sharply. It feels like weakness now. Everyone's laughing. My whole town knows. Tomorrow, I'll be the story people tell when they warn others not to trust too much. Let them talk, she said firmly. Their whispers can't define you, I scoffed. Easy for you to say. You weren't the one abandoned. She was silent for a moment. Then, softly, she said, You think it doesn't hurt me? My sister disgraced our family. Do you know how it feels to watch her ruin a man who actually cared for her? I stared at her, stunned. So you don't support her? I can't, her voice cracked. Not after what she did to you. The room fell quiet. I reached for the soup absent-mindedly, my hands still trembling. She watched, but didn't comment. Finally, I whispered, Why are you really here, Claire? You could have left like the others. She hesitated, then said, Because someone needs to remind you that you're still alive, that this isn't the end. I laughed bitterly. It feels like the end. Her eyes softened. Then let it be the end of them. Not you. Her words lingered. I wanted to reject them, to drown in anger, but her presence held me steady. For the first time all day, I didn't feel like I was falling apart completely. I pushed the tray back toward her. I can't eat. She shook her head. Then let me sit here. You don't have to talk. Just don't face this alone. Silence stretched between us, heavy but oddly comforting. Finally, I whispered, Thank you. She gave a faint smile. You'll thank me when you eat tomorrow. For the first time since the church, a small, shaky laugh escaped me. We'll see. She stood to leave, pausing at the door. Ethan, you're stronger than this moment. I met her eyes. I don't believe that right now. Then I'll believe it for you. The door clicked softly shut. I sat in the dim room, heart heavy, but her words echoing inside me. Maybe I wasn't completely alone. I sat by the window, staring into the dark street. My reflection looked hollow, a stranger wearing my face. The past clawed at me, memory after memory, tearing me open. Ethan, my mother knocked gently. Come down. People are asking for you. Tell them I'm dead, I muttered. She gasped. Don't say that, and stop sending neighbors to gawk, I snapped. I won't be their entertainment. Her footsteps retreated, leaving me alone with the storm in my head. I whispered to the empty room, Adam, why? You were my brother. His voice echoed from memory. We'll never betray each other. Ethan, blood or not, we're family. I clenched my fists. Family, what a joke. I saw us at 16. Sharing secrets under the old bridge. At 20, drunk after finals, swearing we'd stand by each other at our weddings. He kept that promise, just not the way I imagined. Another voice broke in Leela's. You're too serious, Ethan. That's what I like about you. I laughed bitterly. You liked what I gave you, Lila. Attention, money, stability. Not me. The whispers outside grew louder. Someone laughed in the distance. I slammed the window shut. They're all laughing at me. Every one of them. The door creaked again. Claire's voice was soft. You haven't eaten again. Not hungry. You'll starve at this rate. Maybe that's easier. She set a plate on the desk, ignoring me. People are whispering, yes. They're cruel. But you can't hide forever. I spun toward her. Step outside and hear it yourself. Every corner, every shop, they say, my bride ran with my best man. My name is a curse now. I'll get bored, she said quietly. I laughed harshly. Bored? Do you know what it's like to feel their eyes on you, waiting for me to collapse? They want me to be a tragedy. Her gaze held mine steadily. Then don't give them that satisfaction. I sank onto the bed, shaking my head. What else is left, Claire? My future? My dignity? Burned in front of everyone. She moved closer. You're wrong. They took your trust, not your future. Unless you let them. Her calmness stung. You sound so sure. But you weren't the one humiliated in a church full of people. Her eyes softened. No, but I saw you. I saw the way you tried to stand tall while breaking inside. That wasn't humiliation. That was strength, Ethan. My throat tightened. Strength? I felt like a fool. A blind, desperate fool. Then maybe fools are the bravest of us, she said. Because you loved without holding back. That doesn't make you weak. It makes them weaker for throwing it away. Silence stretched between us. I could hear the tick of the clock, the quiet buzz of streetlights. Finally, I whispered, Do you ever wonder why she did it? Claire hesitated. Yes, but wondering won't change it. She chose him. She chose betrayal. That's who she is. Her bluntness startled me. You don't defend her. How can I? She said, her voice low. She's my sister, but she destroyed you. She destroyed us too. Our family can barely hold its head up. Her words settled deep. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. And what do I do, Claire? Tell me. How do I walk outside without crumbling? She stepped closer, her voice steady. You walk outside because they don't deserve to see you crumble. You can't let them take everything. Not your dignity. Not your future. I stared at her, her words echoing louder than the whispers outside. Something flickered inside me, not hope. Not yet, but a spark. I muttered almost to myself, not my dignity. Not my future. Claire's eyes softened. Exactly. The storm inside me didn't vanish, but for the first time since that cursed day, I felt like maybe I could outlast it. Asterisk, the house buzzed with uneasy voices. My parents, her parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, they all sat in the living room, sipping tea like it could wash away the shame of my ruined wedding. I stood near the window, arms crossed, staring out. My father finally broke the silence. "Ethan, you must move on. Forget her. Time will heal." "Time," I muttered. "Time won't erase the whispers. It won't erase what Adam and Lila did." My uncle leaned forward. "Don't let anger eat you, boy. Let it go." I turned, my voice sharp. "And do what?" "Let her win. Let 'em laugh while I crawl in the shadows." Murmurs filled the room. My mother reached out. "Son, please, don't raise your voice." Claire sat quietly in the corner, eyes down, her hands clenched together. She hadn't spoken a word. Her father finally cleared his throat. "Our family has been disgraced too. Lila's actions hurt us all." I looked at him, then at everyone else, their pity burning holes in me. That's when the thought hit me sudden, reckless, but burning. I straightened. If Lila left me at the altar, I won't let her destroy me. I'll prove she didn't break me. My mother frowned. "What are you saying?" I turned to Claire. My heart pounded, but the words came clear. "Claire, marry me." The room froze. Gasps echoed. Cups rattled against saucers. My aunt whispered, "Did he just?" Claire's head shot up, eyes wide. "What? You heard me?" I stepped closer. "Marry me." Her lips parted, but no words came. The silence stretched unbearable. Her mother stood abruptly. "Ethan, that's madness. You can't ask her this after what happened." I held my ground. "I can, and I just did. I won't be defined by betrayal. If Lila threw me away, I won't beg for her back. I'll rise in my own way." My father slammed his cane against the floor. "Ethan, think carefully. You're hurt, humiliated. Don't drag Claire into your storm." Claire's eyes darted between us, her face pale. "Finally," she whispered, "why me?" I met her gaze. "Because you didn't leave me. Because you looked me in the eye when everyone else looked away. Because you're stronger than you think." Her hand shook. "This isn't love. You know that," I admitted. "But maybe it can be respect. Maybe it can be survival. Maybe it can be the statement I need to show them I won't fall." The whispers grew louder. "Shameless. He's lost his mind, poor girl." I raised my voice. "Enough. If anyone here thinks I'll bow my head in shame, you're wrong. I refuse to be a victim. If I choose Claire, it's because I see a future, not a pity arrangement." Claire's father stood, protective. "She doesn't owe you her life." "I'm not forcing her," I said firmly. "I'm asking." Claire stared at me, lips trembling. "If I say yes, Ethan, people will talk." I smiled bitterly. "They're already talking. Let them choke on a story they never expected." Tears welled in her eyes. She looked at her mother, then her father, then back at me. Her voice shook. "Do you mean it?" "Truly." "I do." My chest tightened. "Not out of revenge. Out of strength. Together, we can stand taller than their whispers."
Oh.
Her silence stretched. Then, slowly, she nodded. "Yes." The room erupted. Some gasped, some argued, some muttered prayers under their breath. But I didn't hear them. I only heard her. "Yes," she repeated, stronger this time. My heart thudded. Relief, disbelief, and defiance swirled inside me. Then it's decided. Her mother covered her face, whispering, "What will people say?" Claire answered before I could. "Let them say what they want. I'm not Lila." The room fell silent again. My father shook his head, muttering, "Foolish, reckless." I straightened my shoulders. "Call it what you want. I call it survival." I turned to Claire, locking eyes. "From this day, we write our own story. Not Lila's, not Adam's. Ours." She exhaled shakily, but her chin lifted with quiet resolve. The whispers returned, spreading like fire. But for the first time since the church, I wasn't drowning in them. This time, I was in control. The wedding was nothing more than a signature, and two quiet witnesses. No music, no flowers, no applause, just silence, broken only by the pen scratching across paper. When we walked out, Claire glanced at me nervously. "So, we're married?" I nodded. "Yes. Strange, isn't it?" "Very," she whispered. The silence between us was heavy. We rode home without speaking much, and when we arrived, she stood in the doorway, clutching her bag. "Do you want me to take the guest room?" I hesitated, then said softly, "Do whatever makes you comfortable." That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, hearing her footsteps pacing in the other room. I whispered into the dark, "What have we done?" The next morning, she set 2 plates on the table. Breakfast. "You didn't have to, I know," she cut in quickly. "But we live together now, it's practical." I sat down slowly. "Thank you." We ate in silence until she spoke. "Are you still thinking about them?" I froze. "Always." She looked down at her plate. "I see their posts online. Smiles, fancy dinners. It must hurt." "It does," I admitted. "But their smiles look hollow, forced." Her eyes lifted, meeting mine. "Then stop looking. Stop feeding the wound." I let out a bitter laugh. Easier said than done. She reached across the table, her fingers brushing mine. "Then let me help. One step at a time." Her words lingered long after she pulled her hand back. That evening I came home late from work, exhausted. Claire sat on the couch with a book in her lap. She looked up. "Rough day?" "Always rough," I muttered, loosening my tie. "You should eat. I saved you dinner. You don't have to keep doing this," I said, sitting beside her. She closed the book. "I'm not doing it because I have to. I'm doing it because you need it." I turned to her slowly. "Why?" Her expression was calm, steady. "Because I don't want you to fall apart." Something inside me cracked. I whispered, "Everyone else left me." "But you're still here." "Not everyone else," she said quietly. Days turned into weeks. We fell into a rhythm. Breakfasts, dinners, short talks before bed. It wasn't love, it was survival. Yet something about her presence made the silence less heavy. One night she knocked on my door. "Can I sit?" I nodded, and she slipped in, sitting at the edge of the bed. "I saw another post," she said softly. I sighed. "Lila again?" "Yes, but she didn't look happy. She wrote a long caption about how love is hard work." People in the comments laughed. I looked at her. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I want you to see, she isn't living the fairy tale she thought she'd have. You don't need to chase their shadow. Focus on you. Focus on what you still have." Her words settled deep. I whispered, "And what do I still have?" She didn't hesitate. "Me, this house. Your career. Your future. Isn't that enough to start again?" I closed my eyes, breathing in slowly. Maybe it is. The next day at work, I pushed myself harder than I had in months. I stayed late, finished reports, spoke up in meetings. My boss stopped by. "You've changed, Ethan. Keep this up, and you'll go far." That night, I came home and told Claire. She smiled faintly. "See? I told you. Don't waste energy on her. Build something for yourself." I laughed quietly. "Why do you always sound wiser than me?" She smirked. "Because you let your heart lead. I let my head do the work." I looked at her for a long moment. "Maybe that's why we balance." Her cheeks flushed. She turned away quickly. "Don't read too much into it," I chuckled. "Noted." A week later, I sat scrolling through my phone. Adam's face appeared on a tagged post, drunk, sloppy, red-eyed at a bar. Lila's comment below read, "Sometimes love isn't what it seems." Claire peeked over my shoulder. "See? The cracks are showing." I put the phone down. "Does it make me cruel that I feel relieved?" "No," she said firmly. "It makes you human. But don't let their downfall be your only joy. Build your own rise." I nodded slowly. "Then I'll try." That's all I wanted to hear. Later that night, we sat on the porch, the cool air wrapping around us. I broke the silence. "Claire, do you regret saying yes?" She glanced at me, surprised. "Do you?" I hesitated. "Sometimes I wonder if I dragged you into this mess." She shook her head. I chose it. Maybe not for love, but for loyalty. And now, I don't regret it. I studied her face in the moonlight. You're stronger than I ever gave you credit for. She laughed softly. And you're softer than you admit. For the first time in weeks, I laughed with her. The sound raw, but real. Maybe I was still broken. But with Claire beside me, I wasn't shattered anymore. Asterisk, I walked into the office. And whispers followed, me not the cruel kind anymore, but impressed ones. Ethan. Great job on the proposal yesterday, my boss said, clapping me on the shoulder. Keep this up, and you'll be leading projects soon. I smiled faintly. Thank you. I'll give it everything. When I came home that evening, Claire was waiting with tea. You're smiling. That's rare. I laughed quietly. Work's been good. They're noticing me again. See? I told you. Put energy into building, not bleeding. I sank into the chair. I'm trying. And for once, it's working. A few days later, my cousin called. Did you hear? Hear what? I asked. Adam got fired. Reckless spending, bad deals. The company tossed him. I froze. Fired. Yeah. And guess what Leela's been calling people for money? Borrowing, begging. Everyone's laughing. I hung up, stunned. When Claire noticed my expression, she asked, what happened? I told her, and she sat back, thoughtful. Karma doesn't knock. It kicks. I swallowed hard. I thought I'd feel joy. But instead, I just feel empty. That's because you've grown, she said softly. You don't need their misery to stand taller anymore. Later that week, I sat scrolling my phone. A post caught my eye. Leela, posing with Adam, both smiles brittle. The caption read, even when life is unfair, love remains. I muttered, love? That looks like desperation. Claire leaned over. Notice how the sparkle's gone. They're forcing it. I turned the phone off. Why do I still look? Because wounds itch when they heal, she said. But you don't have to scratch. I sighed. You make it sound so simple. Simple isn't easy, she replied. One night while we ate dinner, she asked, do you still think about marrying her? I set down my fork, staring at the table. Yes, not because I want her, but because I can't believe I wasted so much time on someone who never deserved it. Her gaze was steady. Then let this marriage prove you didn't waste it. Prove you became stronger, not smaller. I looked at her, surprised. You talk like this was meant to be. Her lips curved faintly. Maybe it wasn't meant, but it's here. And we make of it what we choose. Weeks passed. At work, I was given more responsibility. People treated me differently. Respect, not pity. I told Claire one night, I feel like myself again. Actually, maybe better than before. She smiled warmly. That's because you stopped carrying her shadow. I studied her face. Claire, do you ever regret saying yes? She hesitated, then shook her head. Not anymore. Why? Because I see you standing again. And I like the man I see. Her words left me quiet for a long time. That night, my phone buzzed on the table. A message glowed across the screen. Lila, did I make a mistake? The sight of her name made my stomach twist. I read it again, each word slicing differently. Claire noticed my expression. Who is it? I showed her. She stared at the message, then looked back at me. What will you do? My throat tightened. Part of me wants to reply. Part of me wants to ask why. But another part knows silence is the answer, she finished. I set the phone down. Why now? Why after months? She chose him. Claire's voice was calm. Because the fairy tale rotted, and now she wants comfort from the one she abandoned. I clench my fists. She thinks I'm still that desperate man at the altar. Then prove you're not, Claire said. The phone buzzed again. Leela, please, Ethan, just tell me if I ruined everything. I stared at it, my chest heavy. Slowly, I turned the screen face down. I won't reply. I whispered. Claire reached across the table, her hand covering mine. She didn't say anything else. She didn't need to. Her touch steadied me more than any answer I could have sent. For the first time, I realized Lila's regret meant nothing compared to Claire's quiet presence. And for once, I wasn't the broken one. The moment I stepped into my uncle's house, I felt it tension, thick as smoke. People whispered in corners, their eyes darting toward the door. I followed their gaze. Adam and Lila stood there. Adam's suit was wrinkled, his face unshaven. Lila's makeup couldn't hide the exhaustion etched across her features. They looked nothing like the perfect couple they had flaunted online. My cousin muttered under her breath, so they crawled back. I clenched my jaw but said nothing. Claire slipped her hand into mine, steadying me. Lila's eyes locked on me. She whispered, almost breathless, "Ethan." I turned away, pretending not to hear. The room grew quiet until my aunt forced a smile. "Well, it's been a long time," Dom snorted. "Don't act like you're all saints. We left to live better, but life had other plans." His bitterness was sharp. His pride cracked. I finally looked at him. "Other plans? Or your own recklessness?" His face darkened. "You think you're better than me now?" I didn't flinch. "No, I've always wanted better for myself. That's the difference." A murmur spread through the room. Adam's fists clenched, but before he could answer, Lila stepped forward. Her voice broke. "Ethan, can we talk?" I stayed silent. "Please," she whispered louder. I was wrong. I was so wrong. "Can't we? Start over." The words hit me, but they didn't hurt like I thought they would. Instead, I felt something unfamiliar strength. I let out a slow breath. "Start over?" She nodded desperately. "Yes, I made a mistake. Adam isn't who I thought he was. You were kind, loyal, everything I needed. I was blind." Adam whipped toward her. "Lila, shut up." She ignored him, tears streaming down her face. "Ethan, I ruined everything. But maybe you can forgive me." Claire stiffened beside me, but I squeezed her hand before she spoke. I looked Lila straight in the eyes. "You stole my wedding. You stole my trust. But you'll never steal my peace." The room went silent. Even the air seemed to hold still. Lila sobbed, covering her face. Adam stepped closer, his voice venomous. "Peace. Don't act holy. You think you won? You married her sister out of pity? That's not love. That's desperation."
Oh.
I met his glare calmly. Desperation is running from responsibility. Desperation is drinking away your job. Desperation is standing here, broke, begging for scraps. No, Adam, I didn't marry Claire out of pity. I chose her because she's stronger than you'll ever be. Claire lifted her chin, eyes shining with pride. Adam's face turned red. "You stole my life." He spat. I laughed softly. "Your life? Adam, you handed me this life the moment you betrayed me, and I'll live it better than you ever could." He lunged forward, but my father stepped between us, his voice cold. "Enough. This house won't see blood spilled over foolish pride." Adam shoved past him, storming toward the door. "This isn't over." I called after him, calm and clear. "It's been over since the day you chose betrayal." Froze for a second, then slammed the door behind him. Lila crumpled to her knees, sobbing. "Ethan, please." I didn't move. Claire knelt beside me, her hand firm on mine. Together we stood tall, while Lila wept on the floor. My aunt whispered, "How shameful." Her mother covered her face. She destroyed herself. I finally spoke, my voice steady. "Lila, you asked if we could start over. But the truth is, I already have. And you're not part of it." She looked up at me, broken. "You hate me." "No," I said softly. "Hating you would mean I still care enough to waste energy on you. I don't." Her sobs grew louder, but I turned away. Claire and I walked to the other side of the room. The whispers following, "US not cruel this time, but admiring." Claire whispered in my ear, "I've never been prouder of you." I exhaled, my chest lighter than it had been in months. For once I'm proud of me too. Behind us, Lila's cries filled the room, but they no longer pierced me. They were just echoes of a past I had already buried. Asterisk, after the gathering. Whispers still floated around town, but they no longer cut me. For the first time since that cursed wedding day, I felt free. Claire sat with me on the porch that evening, the cool air wrapping around us. She broke the silence first. "You were strong today." I let out a slow breath. I didn't feel strong. I just felt done. Her eyes searched mine. Done with them? Yes. I looked out at the street, the lamps glowing faintly. For so long, Lila's face haunted me. But when she begged, when she cried, didn't feel love, I didn't even feel hate, just nothing. Claire tilted her head. "Nothing can be peace," I nodded. "And you've been there through all of it. Silence, storms, nights when I couldn't breathe, you stayed." She smiled faintly. "Maybe I'm stubborn, or maybe," I whispered, "you're the reason I'm standing again." Her cheeks flushed. She looked down. "Don't say things you don't mean." "I mean every word." Later that night, we sat by the table, the soft light flickering between us. I pushed my plate away and leaned forward. "Claire, I need to tell you the truth." She frowned. "The truth?" I swallowed hard. "When I asked you to marry me, it wasn't out of love. It was pride. I wanted to prove to everyone I wasn't broken. I used you to make a statement." Her eyes flickered with pain, but she didn't look away. "I know. You knew?" She nodded softly. "Of course. I could see it in your eyes. You didn't love me then?" But I still said yes. "Why?" Her voice wavered. "Because I couldn't stand watching you fall apart. Because I thought, even if it wasn't love, maybe I could help hold you together." The weight in my chest grew heavy. "And now? After everything?" Her eyes glistened. "Now, I don't regret it." I reached across the table, my hand covering hers. "Claire, I've been blind again, but not to betrayal this time. To you, to what you've given me." Her lips parted, trembling. "Ethan, I married you to prove a point," I whispered. "But now, I can't imagine my life without you." Tears slid down her cheeks. She covered her mouth, laughing softly between sobs. "You always know how to break me, don't you?" I leaned closer. "No, I just finally learned how to tell the truth." She wiped her eyes quickly. "Say it again?" I smiled. "I can't imagine my life without you." Her face flushed pink, her eyes shimmering. Slowly, she whispered back, "Neither can I." The silence between us wasn't heavy anymore. It was warm, alive, like a blanket wrapped around us both. We stepped outside later. The night air cool, stars scattered across the sky. Claire leaned against me. "Do you think people will stop talking?" She asked. "People never stop talking," I said with a chuckle. "But for the first time, I don't care. Their whispers don't matter anymore. And why's that? Because I finally have something worth protecting. And it's not pride. It's not reputation. It's you." She looked up at me, her eyes soft. "I used to think you were too serious, too stubborn, but maybe that's what I needed. Someone who doesn't give up." I laughed quietly. "And I used to think you were too quiet, too careful, but maybe that's what I needed. Someone steady enough to hold me when I was breaking." Her hand slipped into mine. "So we were both wrong." "And right," squeezed her hand. "Exactly," sighed. She set 2 cups of tea on the table. I watched her move, graceful and calm, and for the first time, I didn't see Lila's shadow. I didn't feel the sting of Adam's betrayal. All I saw was Claire. "Do you realize," I said softly, "that this marriage, it started as a shield, but now it feels like a home?" She turned, eyes wide. "Home, yes. Because home isn't a place. It's someone who stays, even when they don't have to." Her voice trembled. "And you think I'm that?" "I don't think," I whispered. "I know." She covered her face, laughing through tears again. "You'll ruin me with words, then let me ruin you forever." Her laughter softened into silence, and she leaned across the table, resting her forehead against mine. "I love you, Ethan," she whispered. The words struck me like lightning, but instead of pain, I felt healing. I closed my eyes, my voice steady. I love you too. For months, I thought my life ended at that altar. But here, in this quiet room, with Claire's hand in mine, I realized it had only begun, and this time, it was love not revenge that would define me. I walked into the office one morning, and the room was buzzing louder than usual. My coworker rushed over, phone in hand. "Ethan, have you seen the news?" I frowned. "What now?" He shoved the screen toward me. Headlines screamed, "Local man arrested for fraud, Adam Miller in custody." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Fraud? Apparently, he'd been stealing funds, cooking accounts. "They caught him last night," my coworker explained. "It's everywhere." I stood still, the memory of our childhood flashing at him, swearing loyalty under the bridge, Adam standing as my best man. And now, Adam in handcuffs. Another coworker muttered, "Poetic justice, huh?" I shook my head. No, just sad. That evening I told Claire. She listened quietly, her expression calm. "So it's true?" She asked. "Yes. They arrested him. He might be gone for years." She folded her hands. "And Lila? She's alone. Her parents refused to take her in. Even her friends disappeared." Claire sighed. "Karma always collects." I rubbed my temples. People used to whisper about my humiliation. Now, they whisper about her downfall. It feels strange. Her gaze searched mine. "Do you feel satisfied?" I shook my head slowly. No, not satisfied. Just finished. Like a door finally closed. A few days later, I ran into an old neighbor at the market. She leaned closer, whispering, "Did you hear? Lila's been seen begging for work. Poor thing." I forced a polite nod, moving past quickly. When I told Claire later, she asked, "Does it hurt to hear about her like that?" "No," I admitted. "Not anymore. I don't feel joy either. Just nothing." She smiled faintly. "Nothing can be freedom." I met her eyes. "You said that before, 'cause it's true. You're free of her shadow now." One night, Claire and I sat together, the quiet of the house wrapping around us. I whispered, "Do you think I should feel guilty? Watching them fall while we rise?" She shook her head. "No, their choices built their ruin. Yours built your peace." I stared at her hand resting on mine. For so long, I thought revenge would heal me, that seeing them suffer would be my victory. But now, she asked gently. I exhaled. I realized it was never about making them suffer. It was about surviving long enough to find peace. Her eyes softened. "And you found it?" I squeezed her hand. "With you, yes." The next morning, I walked outside, passing neighbors who once avoided my gaze. Now they greeted me warmly. "Morning, Ethan. Congratulations on your promotion. You and Claire look good together." Their words no longer carried pity, only respect. When I returned home, Claire was waiting at the door, smiling softly. "They see you differently now." I kissed her forehead gently. "Maybe, but it doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that I see myself differently." Her voice was warm. "And what do you see?" "A man who lost everything once," I whispered, "but gained something far greater." She leaned against me, her eyes glistening. "Peace." I nodded. "Peace and you." Adam rotted in jail. Lila vanished from sight. The world whispered, but I no longer cared. Their story ended where mine truly began, and standing with Claire. I knew the past no longer controlled me. Asterisk, the day crept up on me, before I realized it's the anniversary of my ruined wedding. A year ago, I stood at an altar abandoned. This year, I stood in my own home, surrounded by people who truly cared. Claire straightened my collar, her hands gentle. "Are you nervous?" I laughed softly. "Nervous? No. Just remembering." "Then let's make today about something worth remembering." Our living room buzzed with warmth. Family, close friends, co-workers all gathered, not for ceremony, but for celebration. Laughter replaced whispers. Smiles replaced pity. My cousin raised a glass. Finally, Ethan, we get to toast to you without tragedy attached. I chuckled. I'll drink to that. Claire leaned close. They're all here for you. For us, I repeated, the words steady on my tongue. Later, I tapped my glass, and the chatter faded. All eyes turned to me. My throat tightened, but Claire's hand slipped into mine, grounding me. I raised my glass. A year ago, I thought my life was over. I lost a bride at the altar. I lost my best man. I thought I lost myself. The room went silent. My father's eyes glistened. I continued, my voice stronger. But life has a way of surprising us, because in losing them, I gained something far greater. I turned toward Claire. Her cheeks flushed, her eyes already wet. I lost a bride, I said, pausing just long enough for the weight to land, but I found a partner. I lost a best man, but I found my best friend in her. Gasps, then applause filled the room. Claire covered her face, laughing through tears. She whispered, "You'll make me cry in front of everyone." I grinned. "Then let them see. You've earned every tear." After the toast, my mother hugged me tightly. "You're stronger than I ever imagined," Ethan smiled. "No, Mom. I just finally stopped holding on to the wrong people." My uncle clapped my back. "From ashes to gold, boy. You proved them all wrong." I nodded, but whispered quietly, "I didn't do it to prove them wrong. I did it to prove I could live again." Claire overheard, her voice soft in my ear. "And you did." With me, as the evening wound down, Claire and I slipped onto the porch, away from the noise. The night was cool, the stars scattered like confetti. She leaned against me. "Did you mean every word?" "Every single one," her lips curved. "Because I'm keeping them." I laughed gently. "Keep them then. They're yours." We sat in silence, fingers entwined. The sounds of laughter drifted from inside, but all I could hear was her steady breathing. Finally, I whispered, "Claire." "Yes, thank you. For walking into my storm when you could have stayed away." She turned to me, tears shimmering. "And thank you. For turning what started as survival into love." I kissed her forehead, holding her hand tighter. I glanced toward the house full of family and friends. This isn't a wedding, but it feels more real than the one I lost. She smiled through tears. Because this time, it's not about proving something. It's about keeping something worth holding. I nodded slowly. A wedding worth keeping. She squeezed my hand, whispering, "And a love worth keeping." The night ended not with vows or rings, but with hands held tightly, hearts steady, and a quiet truth: love can be rebuilt, and ours already had.